Hello, this is the Personalized Learning team from the South Carolina Department of Education. Welcome to a quick tour of how the South Carolina Teaching Standards 4.0 element academic feedback connects to the Measuring PCVL Toolkit. The purpose of this video is to provide a short introduction of how the Measuring PCVL Toolkit outcomes can help measure growth in the element of academic feedback. If you haven't watched the welcome video in the header of the crosswalk document that explains our overall purpose, we suggest watching that before you continue with this video. The Measuring PCVL Toolkit focuses on 8 outcomes that we believe are distinctive of a high-quality PCVL system. The toolkit was created to make measuring PCVL impacts as accessible as possible for classroom teachers, school coaches, and leaders, and anyone wanting to document the effects of PCVL practices for learners. Let's dig in and learn more about the connections between academic feedback and the Measuring PCVL Toolkit outcomes. If you are wanting to measure your impact in academic feedback, you could use the Measuring PCVL Toolkit outcome of support. We know that in order to have the capacity to support students at different learning rates, students need to feel as if they have ownership over the learning process, can work on their own, and know how to get help or help themselves when they need it. Now, let's look to see how you could use support to measure impact in the SCTS 4-point element of academic feedback. Let's level set for a minute. When we say support, what do we mean and why is it important? According to ANSES in 2003, support can be thought about as the extension of help by teacher leaders, coupled with students understanding that they can count on that assistance. When learners have the perception that their teachers care about them, strive to create a well-structured learning environment in which expectations are clear, high, and fair, and they are capable of providing the support when needed, their learning experiences feel positively supported. We also know that support for students is most helpful when it is meaningful, relevant, and timely. We know that not all students need the same types of support or the same level of support. When students get support specific to their needs, generally levels of engagement increase along with deeper levels of learning. The indicators for the SCTS 4.0 rubric element academic feedback and the PCVL outcome support can work together to help teachers collect valuable data about their students' perception of how they're being supported as learners through academic feedback. For example, on the 4.0 rubric, teachers are expected to consistently use student feedback to monitor and adjust instruction. The support data collection tool has survey questions that ask learners if they believe they will get the support they need to reach their learning goals, and how they feel about asking their teacher or peers for help when they are stuck. Using the survey questions to find out how students are feeling about the support they are receiving in class can be used by teachers to inform the frequency and quality of feedback between teachers, students, and peers. Let's click into the crosswalk to see how we might use the data collection tools in the Measuring PCVL Toolkit. Let's imagine I'm a middle school teacher who has started to implement a workshop instructional model in order to have more time to meet with students one-on-one and in small groups. This year, I have chosen to set a goal to work on the SCTS 4.0 rubric element of academic feedback, because I want to use this new instructional model to allow more time for intentional feedback with and from students. I see that I have 3 different outcomes that I can choose to measure the impact. I know there's a strong connection between academic feedback and support, so I am going to click on support. I see that there are several prompts and questions I can use to create a survey for my students. I notice that each prompt has a code for which level it best fits. Since I'm a middle school teacher, I want to make sure the prompts that I select are fitting my students where they are as learners. I might pick 4 prompts that I can use with a Likert scale, like, I believe my learning needs matter to my teacher, and I believe I will get the support I need when I need it to reach the learning goal. When I get stuck, I know my teacher notices and cares and can help me when I get unstuck. And lastly, my teacher doesn't explain why we have to learn certain things in school. Then I might also pick 2 open-ended questions like, when you feel unsure or stuck during a lesson or about a task, what do you do? And how do you feel about asking for help from your teachers or peers? Once I made the survey, I would give it to one or all of my classes, depending on what I was trying to measure. After getting the survey results back, I could analyze the data by myself, with my coach, or with another colleague to see what I notice and wonder about what my students are saying about how they're feeling supported. If I needed to follow up and do some small group interviews, I could. Then I could use the data to make some changes to my instruction based on what my students said. If my SLO was focused on the same 4.0 element, I could even use these prompts as pre and post data related to one of the competencies that I might be working to integrate into my class. Remember, you can use more than one outcome at a time. You can use each of the tabs that relate to the SCTS 4.0 element that you are trying to measure as a menu to pull from. Now, what if I'm a school leader or an instructional coach? How can I use this same crosswalk? Well, if your school has identified a few of the SCTS 4.0 elements that are your focus for the year, then you could ask everyone to focus on the same one, or give them a choice between a few. Then, as the coach or school leader, you could create a school-wide survey using the prompts and questions from the data collection tool that apply to the SCTS 4.0 elements that are your focus. Have each teacher give the survey to one class during a given period, and then reflect on that whole school data or individual class data. You can do this when you are meeting in your PLCs. Teachers could then set their own growth goals around the data from their students. That is one way you can leverage the connection between the SCTS 4.0 rubric element academic feedback and the data collection tools in the Measuring PCBL Toolkit. Now it's your turn to think about which Measuring PCBL Toolkit outcome you want to focus on and explore the survey prompts and questions. We love to partner with educators, so please remember you can always reach out to your regional coach by going to personalizesc.ed.sc.gov/contact-us.